channel. So today I am here with the final book review of After Ever Happy by Anna Todd. This is the final book in the fucking series, and can I just say thank you, Lord. Sorry for using your name in vain, but thank you, because I literally was getting so freaking bored. Like, I went back and I watched my last video of the review, and you could tell like my energy was so gone. I was like so drained. This series literally drained the energy out of my soul. Like, I was just like, oh my god, I couldn't take it anymore. I was just so over this fucking series. Like, what the hell? There's some points that I really want to point out in this book in particular, which has also been pointed out in the book itself. So Anna Todd obviously know that this relationship is problematic, and you know, the book is problematic and all these issues, and she's aware of what people are thinking about the book, but she feels like she needs to address it somehow in this book. So I'm going to talk about those things because these were things that was running through my mind throughout the series. So the first thing is Hardin and Tessa changing. And I read a comment on like someone's video, and it said that if it wasn't for Hardin, Tessa wouldn't have really been the real Tessa. And then Hardin loved Tessa so much that he was willing to change for her. So that's like the so-called like goodness in the relationship, is that they both changed because of one another. And I thought that comment was kind of like, I get what you're saying, but at the same time I don't, because Hardin, it was, to me, you guys know how I feel about there being no emotional buildup, and this book tried to show that emotional buildup some type of way. But since there was no emotional buildup, like, I don't understand how Hardin decides he wants to change because Tessa entered his life, because it doesn't make sense to me. It says he never loved anyone. He never said I love you. The only person he really loved was his mom, but he couldn't even say that. But then it's like Tessa comes along, and now he can say I love you with no problem. And it's like, wait, how is that even possible? How is that okay? Like, how does that even make sense? He's like, in this book, oh, you know, Tessa makes me want to be better. She makes me want to change for her. You know, like, I can control my anger and stuff because of her. She sees the best in me. She never gives up on me. She's always there for me. She always takes me back. She's always forgiving me. And I'm like, what about your fucking mother? Like, your mother was there for you. Didn't she work 2 jobs just to provide for you? So how come it's so hard for you to say I love you to your mother, but you could say it to this random girl? Like, it doesn't even make sense. This one girl comes into his life, and he has no problem with saying I love you, but can't say it to his mother. If you can't say it to other people, then fine, that's another story. But your mother, someone who was there for you your entire life, who provided for you, made sure you had your shit together, regardless of the situation that she just did that you found out, like, which is fucked up, yeah, but you still can't say I love you to your fucking mother? How? Like, I don't understand. This girl just randomly enters your life and you say I love you, but you can't say it to your mom. Makes no sense to me. That's like, yeah, we did see her change. Well, I mean, we don't know what Tessa was like before she met Hardin. That's why they have that book before, which I don't know if I'm going to read. You guys let me know in the comments if you want me to review that, read it, you know, whatever. I don't know. But we don't know how she was in that book, like before Hardin and all that stuff came along. We don't know if she was really judgmental. But what we did see was once Hardin entered her life, she became really like judgmental. She was doing all this slut shaming. Every time there was a female in Hardin's presence, she always was so quick to call them a whore or a slut or whatever. If it was you, okay, and you had to go to Hardin and say, hey, can I have directions to the local Walmart? And Tessa happens to see you. Her first thought is, oh, she's a slut. Oh, she's a whore. Not even knowing the situation. She's just instantly so judgmental. And he really brought that out in her. Like, it's one thing where like couples have their little cute little jealousy moments and all that stuff, but Tessa took it to a whole nother level, and I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with this girl? She is so freaking judgmental. She started using people in this book, in this whole fucking series. She used Zed, she used Trevor, she used random dudes, all to purposely piss Hardin off. She changed, and she changed in a bad way. And then that's something she brought up in this book herself. She, after getting called out by Landon saying, hey, like, you know, since you've been around, our family has been nothing but problems. It's more problems on problems on problems. And now I don't want you to go to New York with me. And she's just like, wow, like she's hurt that she said that, but she also needed to hear that. So then she sat back down and she reflected everything, and she realized like, wow, like I have changed, and it's not for the better, it's for the worse. But it's like at the same time, like they want you to see that Tessa change for the better as well, because at some point in time, Noah is team Hessa. I'm like, oh, you're team Hessa too, huh? Like, you rooting for their relationship to work out too. Why and how? What is wrong with you? Why is nobody seeing the problems in this fucking relationship? He tells, like, Noah literally tells Hardin, like, I mean, Tessa has changed a lot because of you. And then Hardin's like, here we go. But for the good, of course. And I'm just like, the good? Where? And I guess they want to sit here and say, because Hardin has his moment where he says, like, you know, because of me, like, Tessa is stronger, she's wiser, you know, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, no, she's not. She's still a weak ass bitch. She's so desperate, and she doesn't know her worth. I feel like in this whole series, she lost herself. You can't sit here, because somebody left in the comments and was like, Tessa never lost herself because she was still in school. She had her internships. No, the heifer lost everything. She gave up everything for this dude, okay? If it wasn't for her, she would still been on the right track towards graduating. She would have graduated on time. But which brings me to my next point, which is Tessa tends to move a lot to run away from her problems. Now, something like this is brought up because Landon says, I don't want you to go to New York with me anymore because you tend to bring your problems to a new location. And I'm like, that's exactly true. She moves to Seattle, and then she ends up not liking Seattle. Things didn't work out with Hardin. Now she wants to up and she wants to move again and go to New York. And I'm like, you're never resolving your issues. In order for you to go to a new place, you have to fix whatever issues that there is. In reality, the reason she's moving away so much is because she's trying to escape Hardin. She doesn't know how to leave Hardin. And her way of trying to escape him is by moving to different cities or a different state to get away from him. Like, and this is why Lillian said what she did in book 3. She told Hardin, she said, the reason that Tessa hasn't left you yet is because you made it difficult for her to leave. And that is the truth. Tessa doesn't know how to leave. Her way of leaving is by moving consistently. And because she moves and decides, hey, I'm going to go to New York now, she has an issue with her transcripts because it looks bad that you're moving again. Like, you just got to Seattle. Now you're talking about moving again and transferring schools again. That don't look good. And NYC looking like, we don't really want you because you transferred. This is going to be your second transfer. I mean, come on now. Come on now. And that leads me to my next point, which is, I literally had to write this down. I wrote this down in my notes. I said, in order for Tessa to move on from Hardin, she needs to not surround herself around people who are associated with Harden. By her continuing to have these people in her lives, it becomes difficult for her to actually move on. By you having contacts with Karen and Ken and Landon and Kimberly and Christian, those are people who are in Harden's family. They're in his life. They're consistent people in his life. So when you sit and say you want to break up with Harden, but you continue to have some sort of relationship with them, Harden is going to ease his way back in some type of way. He's not going to actually leave. You have to remove yourself from that situation. And I get some of you guys might be like, well, her and Landon was friends first. But at the same time, they're like brothers. They're like freaking brothers. You could be friends with someone for a distance, but as long as you're friends with Landon and you're trying to move on, Harden is going to find his way back some type of way. He may finally, hey, let me give her some space, and I'm going to wait for her, and then eventually she's going to come running back to me, because he knows that's what's going to happen, and that's exactly what does happen. But he's going to find his way back into her life, and the way that he does actually is while they're living in New York, Tessa and Landon, they're roommates. They're fucking roommates. And Harden is like, oh, I'm going to go to New York to visit Landon. Boo, you don't visit Landon because you didn't even spend time with Landon. Your plan was to go there to see Tessa, to meet up with her, hoping that she would take you back. But, you guys end up hooking up again, All your time was surrounding Tessa. This is why she can't move on. This is why you can't continue to be friends with someone or continue to have a relationship with those people who are a part of his life, because he's going to keep showing up. Him having your number. The whole purpose of Tessa moving back home, well, she ended up going to Washington, after he humiliated her in London. She goes back to Washington. She gets her iPhone. She changed her number, and she didn't want Harden to have his number. Harden, of course, ends up getting getting her number because of Landon, and then starts texting her, and she goes, Harden. And then from there, they're texting again. They're in communication with one another again. They're back to having sex again. And they're not even together, but they're still, having these sexual intercourses. And it's just like, boom, what the hell? Even the fact that she moved to New York, and then they ended up seeing each other some type of way. I don't know how, because they don't share the story of what happened, but they had a conversation oh, have you been with anybody since? No, I haven't been with anybody since, that time you came and visit me in Chicago. And then they had sex, and they were broken up. So to me, it's again, here we are with this lust. At Landon's fucking wedding, they go to the bathroom and they have sex after not seeing each other for a long time. Yeah, they were broken up for 5 years, and their relationship total was a total of 8 months. But talk about, oh, they have history, and that's why they keep coming back to each other, and they keep finding themselves. No, Tessa literally keeps finding herself in this situation. They're not finding their ways back to each other. They're bumping into each other again because of the people that they're associated with. They both won't allow themselves to move on or grow from a distance apart from each other. Hence that they don't even date anyone else in this entire time. Oh, I'm not going to get in a relationship. They've been broken up for 5 years, okay? In this 5 years, you're telling me they're not hooking up with nobody else? Because Harden is just too busy waiting for Tessa. She ends up seeing Robert again. Remember Robert, the dude who stood up to Harden? Well, guess what? He lives in New York, and they work together. Tessa and Robert work together. But they don't ever pursue no relationship. They're just friends. So Tessa is just waiting on Harden the entire time. What the freak? You are surrounding yourself with this person, and that's why you're not able to move on. If you move on from someone, you delete their phone number. You don't, like, if you're in a relationship with someone and like y'all break up, that means do not keep in touch with their family. That's one thing. If y'all in the grocery store and y'all bump into each other, hey, how you doing? You know, ha ha ha. After that, you're done. You're done. You fucking move on. Like, what the hell? I'm just like literally so sick and tired of them trying to like push this and force their relationship to work out and be like, oh, this is such a beautiful and romantic love story, because it's not. It's not. So Tessa is also like abusive towards Harden. Now, this is something I've been feeling for a while, and I saw a comment that said that that Harden never abused Tessa. Their relationship has always been content. He never forced her to have sex. He didn't force her to have drunk sex or anything like that. He didn't take advantage of her. This is shit that Harden and Tessa themselves has said. Harden said he took advantage of Tessa. He knows that. He knows. Tessa knows that she's in an emotional and mentally abusive relationship. She says this shit out her own fucking mouth, okay? She even brings it up in this book, and she asks Harden, have you ever like looked up signs of an abusive relationship? And Harden's like, huh? Like, what? Like, he was shocked that she even said something like this. He's like, I never put my hands on her. There are more ways to abuse someone without having to physically put your hands on them. There's mental abuse. There's verbal abuse. There's emotional abuse. There's a ton of lists. And clearly she's aware of the shit that Harden is doing to her. But she put herself in this situation. You chose this. You chose this. And time after time after time, he showed you his true colors, yet you continue to stay. And you want to say, yeah, Tessa is abusive. Yes, because she did petty shits like use Zed and other guys, you know, to make Harden jealous and make him mad and, you know, whatever. And sometimes she did purposely start a fight, but that's little shit. That's little stuff that she has done. That is nothing compared to what Harden has done to her. He literally, in this fucking book, like, Tessa was with him the whole time while he's on his fucking temper tantrum about finding out that Christian is his father. He runs out, he goes disappear, Tessa finds him, and then she's driving, no, he goes to his mom's house, set the house on fire, then they drive off somewhere, they have sex, then they go to Kimberly's apartment, well not apartment, but hotel, so she could shower. He says, I'll be right back, and never comes back in order for her to find him at a fucking party and say he doesn't even know her. She's just some random girl. And that was his way of breaking up. It literally took that moment for Tessa to be like, wow, this was his plan all along, to have sex with me and then break up with me. He's not coming back to the States with me. He's going to stay here in London. And she finally, at this moment, she realized her worth and says, you know what, Harden, I'm done. Like, I am fucking done. And I'm like, thank you. Like, I am so happy for you, Tessa. But then she want to be a dumbass and take him back. Like, he comes back. He literally, after finding out that Tessa's father died, he comes back and he wants to be there for her. But at the same time, get her back. You took the death of her father for me to realize that I love her. He wants shit done on his terms, on his time, when he wants to. He thought, oh, I could come back and Tessa's going to take me back because she always does. She even says that. And Tessa hears that. She heard that. And she like, did he really just say that? And that made her mad that he said something like that. But it's like, Tessa, it's the truth. It is the truth. Don't be dumb because you know you about to take this food back in 5 minutes. So come on now. And just because they don't officially say that they're back together, they're still hooking up. They're still messing around. They're still keeping in contact with one another. Like, girl, you're not fooling nobody. So Harden feels like there's a difference between abusive relationship and an unhealthy relationship. And he feels that he's in an unhealthy relationship with Tessa. Now, this brings me to saying this. Anna Todd is aware that this relationship is problematic. She is aware that people feel this book is abusive. She's aware that people find Hardin to be an abusive person. But she used this line of Hardin saying this and feel liking, you know, there's a difference between being in an abusive relationship and being in an unhealthy relationship. She used this to justify Hardin's actions, to make people realize there's a difference between the two. But sweetie, an unhealthy relationship can lead to an abusive relationship. And an unhealthy relationship can be an emotionally abusive relationship. Because if you're constantly going back and forth and you arguing every freaking night, what is that? What is that? If he make you feel like less than who you are or less of a person, then what is that? That is emotional abuse. He literally keeps taking advantage of Tessa and her feelings. He's using her. He's using the fact that she lusts for him and that he is the only person that's been inside of her and, like, you know, she allowed to explore and really open up to and, you know, build some type of relationship with. Still, an unhealthy relationship is still hand in hand an abusive relationship because it leads to that somewhere along the lines. Somewhere. Stop trying to justify it to make it seem like, oh, it's okay, or he never did this and he never did that, or whatever. Because he did. Just because he didn't put his hands on her physically, he was still mentally and emotionally abusing her. And that right there is an unhealthy relationship. Yeah, an unhealthy relationship is two fools who have all these fucked up problems. They get together and then they have like a mess of a relationship. That's an unhealthy relationship. And Tessa and Hardin's relationship is a prime example of an unhealthy and an abusive relationship. Tessa feels like it's an unhealthy and an abusive relationship. Hardin just feels like it's an unhealthy relationship. Like, what the freak, yo? And then, like, Hardin is just talking about, like, some, you know, people look at our relationship and they judge, but they don't put themselves in our shoes. And I'm like, what's your shoes? Just because you have fucking problems, so does the whole fucking world, Hardin. So does the whole fucking world. So now let's talk about Zed's character, okay? So I knew they were going to do this with Zed's character. So they were going to set Zed up to make it look like he's a good guy. He's there for Tessa. He really does love Tessa in order for him to be a fucking asshole at the very end. And I'm just like, really. So I figured that really early on. Like, I think I figured that out in like book 1 or almost book 2. I was like, they about to make it like Zed is a problem. He is not who you think he is. Especially the way that Hardin is when it comes to Zed. Is telling you that, yo, you can't trust Zed. Okay, he's not who you think he is. Book 4, when Noah said to Hardin, he said, Hardin, why did you even invite Zed to come here? And Hardin was like, because Tessa needs a friend. And Noah's like, well, what about me and Landon? But Hardin didn't even like respond to him. He's just basically like, look. In his head, this is what he's saying. You're fucking competition. And Landon, I want Landon to be on my side. He's my friend. But what he does say to him is that she needs someone that she trusts. Why is the police over here in this area? She needs someone that she trusts. And she trusts Zed. So that's why he went ahead and told Zed to come down here. Zed comes down, right? Tessa's all excited to see him. Woo, woo, woo. She goes to her father's funeral. They walk back to Carol, Tessa's mom's house. And while they're walking, Zed says, "How do you feel?" And she just says, like, she basically feels like it's her father's fault that he's dead. And she feels like this is what he wanted all along. He didn't want nothing to do with me. Tessa's like, you know, he didn't want anything to do with me and my mother. That's why he left to begin with. And Zed is looking like, well, I mean, it is kind of bad you thinking like that, but like at the same time, you should think the way that you want. But maybe, you know, your father left because he felt like that's the best thing that he could do for you. And Tessa gets pissed off that he says this. And I'm like, Tessa, why are you fucking mad? Why are you being mad? You're mad because he's spilling some facts? Because it's no different than if someone have a child. They can't financially provide for their child. So what do? They put their child up for adoption and give their child to a family that they know will be able to provide for that child, because they knew that they are not able to do it right now or at all. And they feel like the best thing that they can do for their child is to remove themselves from the situation, remove themselves from the picture. They don't want to do that, but they know that's what's best for the child because that's what the child needs. Your father realized how fucked up he was and how much of a problem he was. And he didn't want you to keep seeing him come home drunk and acting crazy and all the arguing and all that stuff. He realized how much that affected you that he said, let me remove myself from this situation. He was doing it for you. And because Zed said that, you want to get mad? You want to get mad and feel some type of way? But guess who agrees with her? Guess who agrees with her though? Harden agrees with her, says, fuck what everybody else is saying and them telling you how you should feel. You know, you deserve to feel how you should. I will be mad too. You know, X, Y, Z. And like, dude, you're supposed to have her back. You're supposed to encourage her. And you tell her like when she's wrong or when she's right or whatever. Don't sit here and like, yeah, you know, he did X, Y, and Z and blah, blah, blah. Like, what the fuck? She don't need to hear that. And Tessa was so happy that, oh my gosh, somebody understands what I'm saying. This is why I need Harden. He understands me like nobody else understands me. And I was just like, bitch. You are stupid. You're stupid as fuck. But hold on. We're talking about Zed right now, okay? So then Zed and Tessa, they're talking. Zed says, hey, like, are you and Harden done for good this time? She says, yes. So Zed, for some reason, thinks it's okay for him to go make his move and kiss Tessa. And I'm like, Zed, she just went to her father's funeral. This is not the time for that. Tessa like pushed him off. Like, what the hell? Like, I would have done the same thing. Like, why would you do something stupid like that? Like, are you dumb or are you dumber? Like, what the heck? And then this fool literally, so Tessa ends up, like, she runs out and she goes to Noah's house because, you know, she wants to see Harden. But she is like, I'm sorry, I don't even know why I came here. And then she's run off and she's barefoot BTW. And so she ends up bumping into Harden and she sees Harden. Harden knows that there's a problem. And then Zed shows up and then Harden knows, like, what the fuck did you do, boy? And then Harden tells Tessa to get in the cab. In the midst of this, somebody named Sam's name keep being brought up or whatever. She's like, who the fuck is Sam? And like, Zed is like, well, did Tessa tell you that she kissed me? And I'm just like, and Tessa's like, he's lying. And I'm like, Zed, really? So we're lying now? Like, we're really lying now? And then Harden gets in the car. Tessa says, who is Sam? So basically who Sam is, Zed had dated this girl named Samantha. And early in his friendship with Hardin ended up sleeping with Sam. Something happened, I guess, where Sam lied and said she was pregnant, and I think it was Hardin's baby or some shit. They really didn't go into details. They just mentioned she said she was pregnant, and then she's just like, wow, okay. So now they're at Tessa's mom's house, right? Tessa's like, I want to leave. Like, I can't be here. I have to go. Hardin's like, okay, baby, I got you. And so they go into the house. Tessa goes and get her clothes. And then, like, Zed and Hardin are going back and forth. And then Zed says, I would have fucked Tessa if it wasn't for you. Like, I would have fucked Tessa tonight if it wasn't for you. And Tessa overhears it and tells Zed to go. And I'm like, see, Zed was pointed to be an asshole from the very beginning. And the moment that I knew this was the direction that they were going to go was when Noah told Hardin, he said, I don't like that guy. I don't like Zed. I don't like him more than I don't like you. And I was like, that tells you a whole lot, because some shit about to go down with Zed. And guess what? It does. But he offered Hardin to stay there another night. And I was just like, oh, you know, you're somebody else that's rooting for this relationship. Okay, I guess, y'all. I guess. So apparently in this too, nobody knows Tessa and Hardin like they know each other, okay? And it's really pissing me off. Like, I'm getting a headache, yo. I actually need to go get some, like, Aleve or etc. But nobody knows them like they know each other. Because early in the book, like, Hardin finds out everything about his father and boop, boop, boop. And then he hops out of Christian's car and he runs somewhere. And Christian is looking all over for him, going from bar to bar, trying to find him. Nobody could find him. But guess who? Guess who? Tessa. She's like, let me go to the bar that's up the street from Patricia's house. And guess who was right there? Hardin. Hardin was there getting drunk. And Tessa knew Hardin so well that she knew he was going to be at the bar. And he was going to be at the one up the street from his mom's house. And then they tried to play it again, like when Tessa went missing or whatever, because Noah and Hardin was going back and forth. Tessa ended up like running out and they didn't even notice. So then they went like, oh shoot, let me go find Tessa. And Noah's like, oh, I'm about to go hop in my car and find her. And then Hardin's like, shit, like he's going to find her because he has an advantage because he's familiar with this town and I'm not. But I know my girl. I know where she is. And then he goes straight to the greenhouse and there's Tessa. And I'm like, are you serious right now? So Noah, who's been around Tessa's whole fucking life, was there whenever Tessa went disappearing. He knew she would always run to the fucking greenhouse. Whenever there was a problem with her father or she felt like she needs to go away, well, guess what? She went to the fucking greenhouse and Noah always went there. So he didn't think, oh, let me go check the greenhouse. Because apparently he doesn't know Tessa like he think he knows Tessa, but Hardin does. Get the fuck on with that bullshit, yo. It really pisses me off. So it's another way for them to like force this so-called fucking relationship to work out and be relationship goals and be so good and like, oh my gosh, like, you know, they deserve to be together because they do deserve to be with each other because they're both dumb as fuck. This book ends. So, yes, Tessa and Hardin gets married. Tessa has 2 children by him. She does have issue where she does miscarry or whatever. She has a daughter. I think her name was like Emily, and then a son. I don't even remember his Autumn or something, Alton or something like that. And it ends with the daughter finally being 17 years old or whatever, you know. Yeah, that's the story. That is the story of Hardin and Tessa. And to me, I still get that message. If you're in a bad relationship, Stick it out, because he will change because he loves you. You know, get this bullshit out of my fucking face. I am so happy I'm done with this series, because this was the worst book I ever read in my life. So in the next video that I'm going to do about the After series is I'm going to be watching the movie. I'm going to be watching it with you guys, and I'm going to point out some differences between the book and the movie, and some of the things that I liked about the movie. Yeah, that's all I can say. But anyways, that is all for this book review. Thank you, Jesus. I am done, and I don't have to deal with this anymore. And let me know your comments and your thoughts in the comments and stuff below, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Bye.